As you know, everyone is predicting that the intermediate segment of the market will take about 21% of car sales. And to put you right in the middle of that fastest growing part of the market, you have your new Coronet, which offers every car buyer more for his money. Let's check out the facts on Coronet as compared with two of its competitors, Chevelle and Fairlane. Coronet has the longest wheelbase, 117 inches, as opposed to Chevelle's 115 inches and Fairlane's 116 inches. Coronet is longer overall. Coronet's greater length and longer wheelbase mean a better ride, more room, and more car for the money. Here you can see how Coronet's price range covers Chevelle and Fairlane. All prices are manufacturer's suggested retail prices. Chevelle is a little lower in price, but it offers a lot less car for the money than Coronet. When you average out all of the price differences for all models, Coronet is only $31 more than Chevelle, only $20 more than Fairlane. Let's see how much more those few dollars buy in Coronet. First, let's see about the interior room, the people room each has to offer. Total headroom, legroom, and hip room. Against Chevelle, Coronet has more total headroom, legroom, and hip room. More room for people. Also, as you can see, there is more room to get in and out of Coronet. And against Fairlane, Coronet has more total people room. Coronet's biggest advantage is a big 2.4 inches more hip room, front and rear. That's the kind of advantage no one can miss. And with the six-way manual seat adjustment, Coronet's people room is adjustable to suit each buyer. Both Chevelle and Fairlane buyers are stuck with what they've got, having only the fore and aft adjustment. Coronet's easy-to-see and read instruments include gauges for temperature, gasoline, and alternator. Chevelle has a fuel gauge, but warning lights are used for oil pressure, temperature, and generator. Fairlane has gauges for fuel and temperature, but warning lights for the alternator and oil pressure. Here you can see the easy-to-see, easy-to-reach, and easy-to-operate heater controls of Coronet. Compare this with Fairlane, where they almost put the heater controls in the glove box. Tough to see and even tougher to reach. Chevelle's heater controls are much easier to reach, but those sliding levers can be pure murder on fingernails. It doesn't feel very good either. Fairlane uses the old ratchet T handle parking brake. Pull to set, twist to release. Good for building muscles, if you happen to want muscles. Both Coronet and Chevelle use the step-on parking brake with hand release. Much easier, more convenient to use. Chevelle's sun visors have no clips on the inner ends, which means they will vibrate and eventually sag as they get older. Both Coronet and Fairlane have center clips on the sun visors. Notice this rear door window on Chevelle. That's as far as it'll go. It will not roll down all the way. The rear windows in Coronet and Fairlane will roll all the way down. All three cars have two-position front door checks, which are very helpful for getting in and out of cars in tight places. But what about the rear doors? Only Coronet has two-position door stops on all cars and all doors. After all, a lot of people may want to put something in the back seat when they are parked in a tight place. Coronet and Chevelle have trunks that are about the same size. However, Fairlane's trunk is almost 2 cubic feet smaller. Here's an interesting point about where Fairlane has placed the spare tire. Unless you are very tall, you won't be able to reach that spare tire until you climb right up into the trunk. Seems like there ought to be an easier way. And there is. The same man can reach the spare tire in Coronet with no difficulty at all. It's good to have the spare out of the way, but not too far. Oh, there is one more thing about that Fairlane trunk. Notice this piece of pasteboard that is sort of tacked in place? Let's take it off and see what it's hiding. Just as well, I guess. But pasteboard? No need to hide anything here in the Coronet trunk. No afterthoughts here. This trunk was designed right and built right to begin with. Now, let's take a look under the hoods. Here's the sturdy battery hold-down in Coronet. Even if the bolts were to get a little loose, the battery will be kept safely in place. Now, you may be thinking, doesn't everybody do it that way? Well, Chevelle uses the positive top hold-down. But here's Fairlane. No top hold-down here. It's pretty hard to see, but way down at the bottom, there is a short ridge on the battery. That steel plate fits over the ridge. If this single bolt works loose just a little, well, I guess you might find out what happens when a battery hits the fan. When it comes to standard six-cylinder engines, Coronet is a winner going away because each horsepower has to pull fewer pounds of weight. Here you can see that Coronet is not only heavier and sturdier, but it also has the best balance of weight to horsepower, with each horsepower pulling less than 22 pounds, while Chevelle has to pull more than 24 pounds and Fairlane almost 24. Here you can see that Chevelle does offer an optional 6, but there isn't any question that Coronet offers the widest selection of optional V8s. And when the street version of the 426 is dropped into a Coronet sedan, each of those 365 horses has to pull just 9.5 pounds. Each horsepower of Chevelle's biggest engine has to pull over 10 pounds. Fairlane's more than 11. All three cars offer a similar choice of transmissions. 3-speed manual is standard. Optional transmissions include 4-speed manual and automatic. Coronet and Fairlane offer 3-speed automatic transmissions. Notice how much easier it is to read Coronet's quadrant. Chevelle still offers the old Power Glide, 2-speed, unresponsive, and uneconomical. If you've never driven a car with Power Glide, you ought to try it to see what it's like. Then you'll know why anyone who tries Torque Flight will never want to go back to anything like Power Glide. Both Coronet and Chevelle use bonded brake linings. Bonded brake linings mean more area of brake lining, longer brake lining and drum life, and safer stopping. Fairlane uses riveted brake linings. Those rivet holes result in less lining area, shorter lining life, less stopping power, and can result in damaged drums when the rivets are exposed by wear. Coronet has the largest brakes, 195 square inches of lining area. Chevelle has about 169 square inches, while Fairlane has only a little over 126 square inches. Coronet uses unitized construction for a tighter, longer-lasting, more rattle-free car. Fairlane is unitized also. Chevelle uses the old separate body and frame method, and thus is much more likely to develop body bolt squeaks and rattles. Coronet alone uses the exclusive torsion-air suspension for a better and more controlled and comfortable ride on all surfaces. Chevelle uses coil springs on all four wheels. A soft ride? Yes. But too soft for good control on any but the smoothest of roads, and too rolling for comfort. Fairlane uses the old combination of coil springs in front, leaf springs in the rear. The coil springs in the front produce a feeling of lack of control on most surfaces. Coronet has the exclusive protection against rust and corrosion provided by the dip and spray process. Chevelle and Fairlane use only spray, no dip. This means the degree of rust and corrosion protection is limited to the areas that can be reached and covered by spray. And no spray can reach into the remote corners in the same thorough and complete manner as when the body is actually immersed. Coronet provides the superior luster and life of enamel. Chevelle uses acrylic lacquer, which lacks the durability of enamel used on Coronet and Fairlane. Coronet is the only one of the three to offer a 9-passenger station wagon. Coronet offers convertibles, as does Chevelle, but Fairlane does not. Here is a mysterious feature in Chevelle. Notice the large holes in the bumpers that are not filled up by the lights? Looks as if someone goofed. Because either the lights are too small or the holes are too big. Fairlane seems to have goofed here. Even with an extension on the valve stem, it doesn't come far enough through the wheel disc to put air in it. So take off the wheel disc every time you want to put air in the tires? And finally, only Coronet offers the protection of the 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty. Chevelle and Fairlane are only rated by their makers as being good for 24 months or 24,000 miles. We didn't rate them that way, they did. So if it's room a prospect wants, or performance, or economy, or quality, you have the answers, all of the answers, in Coronet, the most car for the money in every way. Put your prospects behind the wheel. Give them a chance to see for themselves. They'll sell themselves with your help.